Okay, so we are recording now. My name is Jeffrey Van Ryan. I work with Local 669 as the Technology and Codes Coordinator. And I wanted to thank you all today for joining us on today's webinar on how to use Blackboard to access the online course to complete your CEUs for your state licensing exam. Joining me today for today's webinar is going to be Greg Bartels. Greg Bartels is our curriculum coordinator who actually writes all of the courses that we teach in our tutor instructor training classes. And he's going to be going through the first portion of this webinar, which is instruction on how to get to the website. And then at the end of this instruction, we'll go through a live demonstration. So if anyone has any questions along the way, please feel free to type those into the chat box. We'll be monitoring those throughout this presentation. We'll be sure to answer any questions you may have. So without further ado, Greg, would you like to start us on this presentation, please?
Of course. Good afternoon, and thank you, Jeff, and good afternoon, everybody. As Jeff had noted, my name is Greg Bartels. I'm a local 669 instructor, curriculum coordinator, and a 669 member. And what we are going to do today is give you an introduction on how to use Blackboard, and I'll explain what that is and what that is all about here in a moment. And with the goal of you become comfortable enough to get your Colorado continuing education credits through a class that's administered online. So just a little bit of background through technology. I'm presenting this webinar along with Jeff Van Ryan from Mount Clemens, Michigan, which is just a suburb of Detroit. And the reason why I live in the Metro Detroit area is because our apprentice training program is administered through Washtenaw Community College, which is in Ann Arbor, Michigan. You're going to hear the term or the Blackboard, and Blackboard is the trade name for an online site that's administered by the UA, or United Association, Local 669's part of the UA, and Washtenaw Community College. It's for their use of Local 669 and other UA locals, such as like the pipe fitters and the plumbers and welders and the like. And the UA is partnered with Washtenaw Community College, and that's the same place that our apprentices receive their online training, and our Washtenaw Community College also helps us administer our apprentice training program. And so the UA is partnered with Washtenaw Community College to provide a training site for Local 669 and other fire sprinkler locals, and that is known as Blackboard. And Blackboard it's basically they call it in the learning world LMS, or learning management system. And in simplest terms, what that means is it's just an online program that gives us a place to administer tests, show videos, give you documents, and makes training classes function. It also tracks like grades and attendance information. It's kind of like a teaching robot, if you will, but it allows us to administer things online. We give tests to our apprentices through Blackboard. Our instructors use Blackboard as a place that we store our training programs, and they can access them. Because Local 669 is spread all over the U.S. with various training sites, we need a means for instructors to be able to access materials no matter where they're located. And what makes Blackboard, and other learning management systems unique when we're online, as long as you've got a computer, a tablet, or smart device, and you've got a good internet connection, you can access this class and other classes on Blackboard that you're enrolled in anytime, any place. So what that means to you is, you can take the training class, in your living room, library, on the job site. If you're working from out of town and you're at a hotel and you want to get your training in, you can do that as well. And the classes are always available whenever you need them. You don't have to log, you don't have to log in at a certain time or a day of the week. You could do it in the middle of the night. You know, if you're a night owl, and it strikes you, you want to take a class, or you have to get this class in, you can do that. Or early in the morning, if you're an early riser. I mean, any hour. That's the beauty of online learning. We're just going to go through some housekeeping things to make your experience with Blackboard easier. Although, you know, there are some minimum device requirements. I mean, you can't use a computer from the, you know, the 80s with a real slow operating system. You're going to need at least Windows 7 or higher, Mac, if you're an Apple or Mac user, 10.8 or higher. And that's not the latest and greatest operating system. So Windows 7 or higher, or they say Mac 10.8 or higher. Your internet connection requirement. You're going to need a broadband internet connection, and it needs a speed of 4 megabytes or higher. That's really not high speed, if you will. I mean, just to give you a kind of a point of reference, you know, most of your cell phones operate at a speed of 10 megabits, excuse me, or higher. So, you know, just a good broadband interconnection usually does the trick. You're going to need, these are the type of internet browsers. You know, you've heard of, you've got Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Safari, or Firefox. Any one of those browsers will work. If you're looking for like the best case scenario or the preferred, Google Chrome seems to be working out the best. All right, so let's get into the meat of how to use Blackboard. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our internet browser. And right now in this phase of the presentation, I'm just going to show you the steps. And then when we get done here, so don't be worried about if you miss something, Jeff's actually going to demonstrate you know, in real time on how to do this. So we're just going to go through the steps at this point. So we're going to start by opening an internet browser. And we're going to type in https://blackboard.wccnet.edu. Then if we enter that correctly, you're going to get a screen similar to what you see on the slide here. It'll say log into Blackboard. You've got a box. And in that box, you're going to enter your username. And what we found was interesting is on the site, it says username/netid. We don't know why they say netid. Basically, you're going to put in your username. And your username for most people is going to be your first initial, last name, underscore, UA, and the 3-digit local union number. For example, if you were Paul Simpson and you're with local 669, it's going to say he would have a username of P Simpson underscore, you know, that underline UA 669. Now, I want to mention something. For most of you, that's what your login is going to be. However, like if you've got a very common name like Smith, Jones, you may have a 2 after your last name for login. So if for most people, you're just going to want to put in, you know, your first initial, last name, underscore UA 669. However, if you try logging in and it doesn't seem to work, try this. You've got a pretty common name. Put in a 2 after the last name. So it would say, like, let's say you're John Smith. It would say J Smith 2 underscore UA 669. Okay, so once we enter our login credentials, we're going to enter our password. So we put in our username, you know, and the password is your UA ID or your union card number, and you put it in the box provided. Once we get the username and the password in, we're going to click on the box that says log in. And we did everything correctly, the screen is going to open up, and you're going to see a kind of a light purplish bar. It says My Courses, and directly underneath that, you're going to see the class title. Now, for most of you that have never been in a Blackboard course, which I assume would be you folks sign up for this webinar, you're only going to see one course. And that'll be the only one available underneath that My Courses tab. But for those of you who may have, for whatever reason, previously enrolled courses at UA, Blackboard, or Washtenaw, you may have multiple courses under that tab. So under the My Courses bar, look for the course and click on that link to the class under the My Courses tab. All right. If that worked correctly for you, the site is going to open up, and for every site, they'll have instructions on how to access materials, and you're going to click on the appropriate button as directed. For this particular course, there should only be one or two buttons on the course, and they'll be on the left-hand side of your screen. And if you have any trouble logging in, now you've already have registered with this webinar and have responded and reached out to Jeff Van Ryn, so I'm assuming you have his contact information. As additional support, you can always email me at gbartels@jatc.org, and I'll be happy to help you out in any way that I can. Thank you guys for your attention.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Greg, for walking us through that. So doesn't look like anyone has any questions up to this point. So I think what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and jump into the live demonstration and what it should actually look like for all of you once you log into your online class. So in order to do so, I've already pulled up my web browser, which in this instance I'm using Google Chrome, and I've typed in that web address that Greg gave to us earlier, which was also on the link that I sent to all of you with your username and passwords when I responded to each one of you individually. So everyone on this webinar received an email back from me with their username and password, the link to this website, and also a link to this webinar, as well as the one we're going to conduct next week also. If you click on the link in the email that I sent you, it's going to take you directly to this screen here where you can enter in your username. So in this instance, I'm going to enter in one of the users that we signed up from your area, and we'll enter that person's username into the username/netid box, and we're going to hit continue, and this is where we're going to enter your password, which is going to be your UA ID number. Once you've entered your password, you hit log in, and you have to enter it correctly, I've found, or it will not let you in. And since this is not mine, I obviously made a mistake. So let me try this one more time. Bear with me. And then it's going to bring you into a website, into the portal here, where you'll see that class that Greg is referring to. Under this My Courses tab, you guys should all probably, unless you've been enrolled in a Blackboard course before and still currently enrolled, you're going to only have access to this one course labeled Sprinkler Fitter Continuing Education Classes. So in order to access the class, all you simply have to do is click on that link, and this brings you right into the class tab. You're going to start here by reading the course instructions, and after you read the course instructions, you'll mark this section as reviewed, which will open up additional items for you to go through. The next item you're going to see is going to be a class presentation, you'll click on the link for the class presentation, which will open up in a separate window pane on your computer. And then you'll have to mark that as reviewed after you've read through it. And then that'll then open up some additional information for some class data sheets that you'll need to review as part of this course. And you'll click that section as mark reviewed after you've already gone through and read all of the data sheets. And ultimately, when you finish going through all of the course materials, you'll have an opportunity to take a quiz. Now, the quiz is 50 questions long, and you will need to pass the quiz with a 75% in order to successfully earn your continuing education units for your area. We're going to be monitoring and running grade reports throughout the month of June. And as we see successful completion of the courses, we will be emailing you out certificates for your continuing education. So you'll receive them via the same email that you sent to me to receive your username and passwords. But again, we will not start running those grade reports until June, and then we'll start sending them out in June periodically as we see that the course is completed successfully. So unless anyone has any other questions, I think that pretty much wraps up our tutorial. And as Greg mentioned, feel free if you have any issues to reach out to him or reach out to me. You have my contact information, and we'll do our best to lead you in the right direction.
And thank you, everybody, for your time and attention. And I echo what Jeff has said. If you have any problems or questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you, and have a great day.
Great. And seeing none, we're going to go ahead and stop the recording here, and we'll end this webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.